Hi guys. What's
Okay,
up?
okay. Welcome, welcome back to this very unusual episode of the Survivor Day After podcast.
It's not unusual. It, this is very much our setup and everything.
Yeah,
But the ending of the finale obviously caught a lot of people by surprise. Some people were like, I knew it. I don't know how many people guessed Gabler for the role, for the lulz, but whether or not
yeah,
it was for the lulz or not, they were right.
yeah. I guarantee you, everyone who said Gabler's winning was doing it as a joke for so long. And,
In
uh,
the first video you showed me, that was a prediction from the very start was full on Gabler. He was like, "Yeah, Gabler's
yeah,
actually going to win this whole thing."
yeah. How everyone was just going to be used as Gabler's like toy almost as like a way for a Gabler to win, and I was like, "There's no way that that could ever happen. Gabler can't come out on top of this. He's at best zero vote finalist. That's his ceiling. That's what I thought. Like this is one of the first times in Survivor where I I'm speechless. I don't know what
I was
to
stunned,
say.
people. We'll share. I did do a little vlog. You'll guys see it. I gave Joe the footage of my reaction during it.
Yeah,
It's
it's on
hilarious.
YouTube. It's on YouTube right now. Actually, you can actually see it on our shorts, and it's got like 350 views already. So,
Um, yeah. I'm just like stunned. I'm like, and like, no, that was my face pretty much through the commercial break. I was still processing what was happening.
Mhm.
Um, and like, and it's something where I'm gonna have to rewatch because the guy next to me, because I went to a live party to watch it, the Bryson Wen presents live finale party for 43. Great time. I'll get more into that later, but let's focus on the episode at hand. Uh, I was stunned. And the guy next to me, he was thinking Gabler for two reasons. One, he was one of the guests that didn't show up. Now, that could be
Mhm.
like, oh, he's like older and stuff like that. I'm not saying like a bar and stuff wouldn't be his scene, but at the same time, it's like, that could have been a sign. And then he had a little thing in the beginning where he's like, I know I can win if I go in the end with Cassidy and Owen. And then
Uh,
like there was a little foreshadow, and I wasn't like fully behind that
yeah.
theory.
Hmm.
And then the votes started happening. And I was shocked. I think this was a great finale, but that the winner just perplexes me. And I feel like
Yeah.
this season definitely perplexed me in a few moments, but
Yeah. Yeah, I realized Gabler was probably winning actually at Final Four when they're just about to head over to Tribal, and we're getting Jesse's story about how he's got to win for his family, and
yeah,
then we cut to Gabler saying that he wants to win so he can donate the money to veterans in need. And I'm just like, okay, well, we're not going to put that in there if Jesse is about to win this fire, ruin Gabler's whole thing about like about charity and everything. Like they wouldn't have put that in there. Like clearly they were wanting us to like establish that that was something that's not going to happen here.
that's a good point.
So I was
Um,
just like, oh my god, are we really about to see a Gabler win? And then once he wins fire, I was like, well, now he just took out the biggest threats. Like,
Not only that, the man almost had a perfect game.
yeah, if James didn't vote Cassidy and voted Gabler, he would have been a perfect. He would have played a perfect game.
I'm still it could be that I'm latching on to the idea that this man was a goat the entire time.
Yeah. Oh, clarify what kind of goat, because we thought he was one kind of goat, but maybe he's the
The
greatest of all
the
time.
zero vote third place finalist. that kind of goat.
Yeah.
Now, you know, like maybe because I was looking through that lens, and it's kind of like, so sometimes when you rewatch a season, you start to understand the winner's edit a bit more. Or I know like one example between you and I for Winners at War, I saw Tony as like this villain coming in, and then that was kind of the lens I was seeing through. But when I rewatched it, I'm like, okay, he's not that.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like, we latch on to certain ideas and then we see it through that lens. I'm gonna have to watch it again,
Yeah.
knowing everything that I know, and then see it because, like, fundamentally, what helped Gabler out winning and stuff was his social game. That's pretty much the
Mhm.
group consensus.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
what's so funny is just everyone wanted to kind of go to the end with Gabler because they all saw him as someone they thought they could easily beat. But what ends up happening is in Modern Survivor, all these threats go out bam, 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 bam. So now suddenly the people at the end are also people who kind of were being brought along for a lot of the situations. They weren't the ones in control of the thing. So now it's suddenly like, okay, it's not really about who played the best strategic game anymore. It's about just who was the one who was kind of in with everyone.
yeah, I guess it's challenge or let's start at the beginning because going into this, we've said multiple times the big three, which was Cody, Jesse, and Carla, and we lost Cody last episode. So going in, we even talked about how, with both Carla and Jesse, their path to the final three was very, very difficult
Yeah. Mhm.
because of the threat levels both of them had. And they even say at the top of the episode. Um, and like, other three, we're pretty much like, yeah, we can't let these, other guys go to the end. Otherwise, they're gonna win. So with that being said, when you're given who's left, it really came down to Endgame, a lot of it.
Yeah.
And, I'd say this episode, obviously Cassidy really shined. Owen
Mhm.
started to shine a bit more.
Yeah.
Um, and get the and to kind of stop the Charlie Brown thing. It happened a little bit in the beginning when he was so close to getting the advantage for the final five challenge,
Yeah.
which props to Carla. She was able to like soldier through and make it and get it. Um, I mean, ultimately, it didn't help her in the end in the sense of like it gave her extra time, but
Mhm.
it just clicked with Owen just a wee bit faster, and then he ended up winning
Yeah,
the
I would.
challenge.
Yeah, interestingly enough, the previous 41 and 42, that advantage was like a huge major advantage that really gave like there wasn't it just made it super easy for the people who found it. This one actually, because it's a word puzzle at the end, those are really hard and take a very long time to do. So having just 10 pieces there already, like it doesn't matter. That's going to take a while to actually finish that word puzzle.
Well, I
Like,
mean, it's like if you look at it from, I think it's a good advantage to have because like it's extra time and it's
mhm,
less trips you have to make because everyone else was, it took them a while to finally get all their pieces there.
yeah,
So it's like at the end of the day, extra time is extra time. It so like, it was a decent enough advantage because also with her injuries and stuff, having to go over that balance beam again and again, you know,
yeah,
it would have taken its toll, things like that. And then so it gave her an edge. It's just that, with these word scrambles, especially since there were so many, it was very big too. It was quite a lot of words. So it
yeah.
was just a tricky puzzle. It gave her extra time, but alas.
Yeah, I was rooting for her because I knew if she made it through that we were probably getting Jesse and Carla in fire at 4 to decide the winner of the season. That's what I was rooting for. So when that doesn't happen, I'm just like, oh no, now we have to rely completely on this final five play, which I'll just say it outright. Jesse misplays final five here, and doesn't do what he had ways, I think, to manage to get him and Carla moving on to the final four, because Carla going out here is just bad for his game. It
And
it,
both of them
it
were aware of this too. They
yeah,
were strategic shields for each other,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. What Jesse could have done if he wanted to try to get both him and Carla there, even when Carla loses there, is just talk to Carla, say, hey, I have an idol. I'm playing it for myself. You try to get people to vote for me and try to get the votes on me. And you vote for Cassidy, I vote for Cassidy. Don't do anything funny. Don't just randomly try to vote for me or something, because that's not, you'd go home if that's the case.
I think the thing is they just didn't trust each other at the end. And it was hard to
Yeah.
because Cassidy is the same one who, well, both of them wanted to betray their number one. Jesse was the one that, was able to do it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, like, both of them at this point had trust issues.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard to trust the other one, especially because like if you get rid of the other one, it's resume. I feel like it's a thing where in some competitions when you're playing out the end game, it's kind of like a riskier move, but in order for self-preservation, because the
Mhm.
two just wouldn't work together. Jesse had made the only play he could because
Yeah, well, they worked together
fundamentally,
for so long, like that they were that like even though it seems like, oh, the two powerhouses and we always thought they were going to clash at each other, they really never clashed with each other. They were really playing together for most of the time. Even in this final five votes, we see most of their conversations were with each other. Like
yeah,
clearly they were trying to do, like they weren't just like, I'm not gonna play this round, I'm just gonna talk to this person now. They clearly wanted to see if they could work together, but I don't know. And you could tell in the voting for Carla that she originally was voting Cassidy,
yeah.
changes it. And I'm really upset if the reason is that she voted Jesse was just because she wanted to not let him have a perfect game if he got to the end. Because that's what she says, and I'm like, that's stupid. Like that's a
You could have.
that's
The thing
dumb.
is, they could have worked together.
Yeah,
It was something where, I mean, it's tough in that end game because, like, if you cannot trust the other person,
yeah.
uh, then it's tricky and it's hard to pull off. They could have. There were times where, when they pulled off, and talked to each other, and everyone was kind of like doing, the whisper and live tribal council. That was like the moment where it could have happened. Also, we have to talk about when he pulled out Janine's idol,
Oh my god,
Janine's
Shanine's.
face.
We were on that
She,
for like 5 seconds. Like it was just so long of just Janine's jaw dropped.
understandably so. Like, I talked to Janine a little bit
Mhm.
at this party. Not about that part, but like I told her about our brand steel.
Uh-huh.
I told her what a brand steel was first,
Uh-huh.
and like how that we did a prediction video, and then she was like, "Did y'all predict I was gonna lose?" And I'm like, "Well, no, we predict you were gonna have a lot of bad luck." She thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But like no, like just just the psychological standpoint of being like, okay, I thought that went with Dwight. Dwight gave it to Jesse, and then him having that at the end. That's a really cool move for, Jesse. If he made it to final three, he would have won. But with that
Mhm.
kind of like flex and that kind of like, you know, everything that was going on there, it was like, whoa, okay. Just imagine with not knowing about that and everyone thinking that Dwight left with it and him being able to keep that secret. It is a shocking thing. And
Yeah.
then with Janine, the one who, scraped to get that thing together and all that stuff, like, that's like, you know, perception and earth shattering was like, wait, what? uh, I can't say I wouldn't have a same reaction because I've had similar reactions before.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say I think Jesse is the best Survivor player, in terms of strategy, at least. We
Yeah,
have seen in Survivor in a very long time. Like I can't say when like a first time player was able to play at like this high level of like strategic
caliber.
thinking. Yeah, so long.
Well, I mean that
Maybe
master's
Tony
degree is
Vlachos
fresh
back
in
in
his mind,
28.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
He put it
it's
to work. He
mhm.
put it to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was great. I mean, I was just rooting for him so much this episode. This episode, I was just like, please, like if Jesse can just get to the end, we're gonna have like one of the best winners of Survivor of all time.
It was hard, and then
Yeah.
obviously Carla goes home, and then when it's that final challenge, going into this, since it's, the one with the bowls and stuff and
Uh,
going over the spring maze and all that, I'm like going in, I'm like, okay, I can see this going to, I see it being hard for Jesse.
mhm,
I thought Gabler would have a big edge because, being a surgeon and stuff requires steady hands, precision, all that stuff.
mhm.
And he was leading it for a while, but then bong and everything fell.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know what the win rate is for men and women, but I feel women have a very good, like I feel like this is like one of their balanced ones that they win pretty well. And I wonder, and like so once I saw the challenge, I immediately was like, Cassie's winning this. Cassie's in final three. Like I don't know why, I just immediately was just like, it's gonna be Cassie here. And yeah, sure enough, she ends up never dropping and just sacking them one after another. We get a really funny moment though where Owen drops his stack and breaks his bowl.
yep. I
Another
even comment
Charlie
on too
Brown.
because it's like at that close to the end, well, because like Cassidy could have also messed up, but at the same time, it's very unlikely because once that gust of wind and everything already went through and she survived that, it was only a matter of time until she was able to get to her podium. It did fall like, maybe 3, 5 seconds later after she got on her podium and Jeff said she won. But still,
Yeah.
it's like at that point, he kind of knew it was over.
Yeah. Yeah, yet again, I was really hoping for another gust of wind to take out Cassidy's thing, and Jesse's slow but steady could have potentially paid off because that's what he was doing. He was going very slow but not dropping anything. But yeah, Cassidy just managing to get it. Her and Owen end the season with 3 immunities each.
Which very respectable.
Uh,
Both of them even said, like, and Cassidy said, well, I never really went into it thinking I'd be a physical threat until I won
yeah,
my first one. And then she, you know, yes, she has 3 wins, but we also, yeah, I remind you, in the drowning challenge, she lasted, she came in like she was the runner up in that.
yeah,
She only got outlasted by Carla and,
and
Owen.
Owen.
And even then, that was something where she was already like, if not near the 2 hour mark, right at the 2 hour
Yeah,
mark.
she would have beaten almost any other season if they were competing on that. But because of just how crazy Carla and Owen went and actually beat the Tide,
Yeah.
like she ends up not being able to get the win there.
Yeah. So like she has proven herself to be very strong in challenges.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I understand, I know this is a big thing, and we've had this discussion before about giving immunity away to face off and fire.
Mm.
And I feel like that final travel, they were like, no, do that, do that. And I'm like, y'all are fucking idiots if you want. And I fully was behind, Cassidy's decision. It's like, no, I'm letting my
Uh,
game speak for myself. I don't feel like I need to go to fire. I didn't
yeah,
think she needed to. And it's like
yeah,
she worked hard to get that immunity. And so it's like, why take that away or
yeah.
why gamble with it when you already feel confident in your game and everything? I don't blame her for not, giving it up and stuff. I don't think it should be expected for the winner of a challenge to give up
Uh,
immunity at
yeah,
the final four.
I think we are in a new era now here, Ryan, where if someone throws the gauntlet down, like, hey, you need to give up immunity now, that I think that is now making a public display of it, where it's now suddenly like, so you're being called out, and if you don't take it, that is the equivalent of you running away from this challenge, which looks bad as like the final move. Even though I understand it's unfair. It in like, if you're looking at it like every move as just like what's the most fair option, it's an unfair option. But I think this is going to be a new strategy moving forwards in Survivor, is whoever is most likely going in a fire and they think they can beat who won immunity, they're going to call that person out, because it's essentially like saying, hey, if you think you actually deserve this win, you have to be the one to do it. You have to be the one to face me right here. And as the last person to go into the jury booth, like, they're still going to kind of be having like that, like, oh man, they didn't put themselves in, and that can be a lot for like the jury. Like, they take that like last person and the first person's like word very well, and I think that had a lot of impact in the jury. Was Jesse and Carla both kind of like not feeling good with Cassie for her end game.
I don't know. No, I guess like because of you make a lot of sense with
Mm-hmm.
that. I know like if I get on Survivor and if I'm in that position in Final Four where I have it, I'm like, listen, I'm not in any I'm not in any measuring contest with you guys. I'm not going to, be like, I'm not insecure about the game I played, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to like be like, oh, I'll show you. Like, I'm not going to be,
Yeah.
egged on to do something that is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm guaranteed safety, I have earned this right. But it is a thing where, and Cassidy even played who she sent into that very smart, where it was
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, because no one knew that that the jury was going to really,
They all loved Gabler.
yeah, no one playing the game, and I'd say half the audience that wasn't. It's really tough because when people say that, it was like, oh yeah, Gabler's gonna win, Gabler's gonna win. You don't know how many of those people genuinely believe that or it's for the lulz. I think it's a mixture. Now I understand why Sony, re-released Morbius for a second time. Uh, but it's like, you know, I don't blame the decisions made because, like, no, I think Cassidy made the smart move of putting Gabler in there because for Owen, it was another thing to add to his underdog resume and, coming through the ashes. And like, if Gabler was able to do it, he, why not send him in for that?
Yeah,
Um,
and I think he is like the best person for fire. The I just kept thinking that he was going to fail fire though, because the entire episode it was Gabler talking about how depleted he was, how he just
yeah.
feels like he can barely even make it through to the next day. I was
I
like, oh,
mean,
are they
sometimes,
setting up like he's going to have trouble making the fire and he's going to get like lightheaded, just like trying to build it? Is the smoke going to come up and like make him like not be able to focus on it anymore? Like
I
I
mean, like, stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, even though with fire, it's not as physically demanding as other challenges and whatnot,
Yeah.
it is something like mentally, and we did see, you know, Jesse didn't necessarily panic, but he did know, like, he did look very aware that, like, oh, he is not winning this, and when things weren't going his way and Gabler's, fire was rising. It was, I didn't really hear the music that well because I was at a, bar at the thing and
Yeah,
people were cheering. But I did hear hints of like a sad kind of like tone because it was like
yeah,
something where he was giving it his all, but he kind of knew, like, it was too late.
yeah.
And it's
I
just this little fire against Gabler's roaring fire.
Yeah, I yelled at the screen the second I heard the sad music play. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's happening!" Like I like they had a moment where they tried to like pretend like Jesse might make a comeback, but then it was like, and nope, it didn't work out. And then it was clear, like, okay, well, it's not looking good here for Jesse.
No. He
Yeah,
yeah, and then, like aftermath of it, it was sad. Like, he did, like, want to do so much for his family and stuff. His family has been like his rock, post everything. And obvious, I'm not a dad, nor am I a husband.
hmm,
But like I understand, like, wanting to do everything you can for a loved one. Um, and him, not able to, like, because, like, he had it rough growing up and wanting to make it easier for your children. Obviously, that's his number one goal. And like he fought so hard. He played a really great game, and for it to come just short, um, it was kind of sad.
yeah, yeah. I was crying. Honestly, I had tears coming out. I was not happy for Jesse going home here. I was really bummed about it. Um, honestly, I didn't finally uh get over it until we were probably at final tribal council. Like I was still like from once Jesse goes home here till to like final tribal council, I was just like like just so like upset.
I mean, now I understand. I was a little bit happy. So, like, for those who don't remember, we did a draft team pick. And I basically, the final three, each person I had made it to final three. I find it interesting, and we got to talk about this too. With our
Uh,
draft pick, you basically gave me Gabler.
I did. He was like the last person picked, I believe, right?
Well, the last person you picked was Sammy, and
Yeah.
therefore giving me Gabler by default.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. He was the last person. Like he was on the bottom of both of our lists.
No, and even like, and you'll see in the vlog, I even did this where I showed, the picks and everything, and how
Yeah,
Gabler is right here on the bottom.
yeah,
And you see up here, like, I had Owen up here, and when it was that final three, I'm like, oh, is this the final thing? Is this really the final three? This is where he wins? And then when he was a zero vote violence, I was like, oh,
nope, it's Gabler.
it was
But
Gabler.
I will say, next season I thought I knew how to draft. I am now going to draft the weirdest people because I don't know anymore. It doesn't matter. Who
I don't
knows?
know either, man. It's always like until we see actual footage, it's hard to tell because like we don't know how the edit's going to be. And so like, if there's someone we're really confident about going in and we see they're not really edited as much as we thought they would, it's like, oh, okay, well, we were wrong. And during the trailer, they're going to pick whomever to focus on, or like
Uh-huh.
obviously they're going to put some red herrings in there because like, they don't want to be like, oh yeah, this person is winning. Um, I will say this: this final three, I felt it was for who was left. Um, Going into this, I feel each one really owned up to their game, which
Mhm.
is like one of the biggest things. Because Mike from 42, he didn't own up to his game, and it cost him. This time
Yeah.
around, everyone was very, very clear on what their game was. Granted, jury didn't always agree with like certain things, but from their point of view, they owned their style and owned everything. They weren't trying to BS the jury.
Yeah,
So it was like
yeah,
tough, like seeing, or I was like,
yeah.
I still didn't know who was going to win. It was
Yeah,
just that.
it really did feel like a 42's final tribal as well. With Gabler being Mike Turner, Marianne was Cassidy, and Owen was Romeo in terms of that. But the thing is, was Gabler does own his game. He says exactly what the jury wanted, whereas
Yeah,
Cassidy doesn't have the Omer boot. She doesn't have this big move that was able to differentiate herself from the rest of the game, which we see
that
is
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 true.
it that was I think the critical blow that ends her game is the fact that she doesn't have that one the one vote she thought the entire season was her vote wasn't even her vote. Once that happened, it became very apparent to her, like, oh, I guess I wasn't in
Yeah.
much control.
Well, I mean, like, here's the thing. She played a very clean game in the sense of like, yeah, her name came up, but in the sense of like, she still made it to the end in the sense she was always on the right side.
Except for the Janine votes. She was wrong on the Janine
Yeah.
votes. Yeah.
But it was like one of those things where, you know, because you knew, or like, because like sometimes the cleanest game isn't always the flashiest game and sometimes gets a little diminished
Uh-huh.
because it's like, oh, well, you didn't have any power moves. Sometimes making power moves gets you on the jury because Jesse made one of the best in New School Survivor. And then obviously, his threat level went from semi under the radar to being like, okay, now we got to get Jesse out not as soon as we can, but like,
Uh-huh.
it was a toss up and between, Carla and Jesse. And obviously he had his idol. He showcased the fact that he had an idol right at the end. So it was like, all right, it had to be Carla. I did see a thing where, oh, Jesse didn't say anything about his idol, then all votes were on him, and then he could have been like pretty much chosen whomever he wanted to get rid of at that point, whether it was Cassidy, whether it was Gabler. Um, if they wanted to go like the let's have the double threat thing into Final Four. So it's
Uh-huh.
like, all right, it might be us, and then we'll duke it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm looking up right now voting history. Gabler only was voted wrong once in this entire game, and that was the Dwight vote where he voted Ryan instead. So besides that, he actually voted. So if you actually look at it from jury phase onwards, he actually voted better than Cassidy.
Yeah, I,
So it was one of these things. I think it was just her selling points were just a lot harder for the jury too, because she was trying to take credit for the for a lot of the players on the jury's moves. Like, she was trying to say, I was the one who is doing these kind of moves, and they were like, no, I don't think that's the case. Whereas Gabler was a lot more like, I knew I wasn't steering the ship, but I knew how to get in with the people steering the ship. And so
that is fair.
it was a way better pitch to the jury, like, oh, you're right. Like, I thank you for acknowledging us making the moves.
I will say, with that being the case, yeah, sorry, hiccups.
We're
It
good.
does kind of make sense. I feel like as we're talking it out, more and more of it is starting to make sense to me.
Uh,
But I feel like when I was watching this, I was watching it with a live crowd. And when you watch it with a crowd, you know what moments really get the audience. And I feel like out of the three, Cassidy had the most um out of the during that final tribal, she had the most claps because one, winning three immunity challenges, being the slender girl and stuff like that, and also in a season where women were just decimated. Like if we look at the first few people that were eliminated, I think it wasn't it all but Geo were all like before pre-merge, all but Geo were all like female eliminations. And even
yeah.
then, it wasn't out of the first six people eliminated, the first third of the game, five women were eliminated.
Yeah.
Um, I also have to say the fact that, and this is a moment that was like a huge reaction. I'm backtracking a little bit, but when Carla was like, "Yeah, it was me and James's kind of thing," and telling that to Cassidy's face, I'm like, "Why are you saying that? You're trying to make sure you're not going home. Why are you like down? Why are you dismissing Cassidy right in front of her face when you know you're a big target?" Like I
Yeah.
was like, "You fool! Why?"
Yeah. Well, I will say that that is a strategy I've thought of before in terms of using jury clout almost as kind of a Boston Rob-esque mafioso like scare tactic to try to get someone to want to keep you around an extra vote because you know, maybe you're in a really desperate situation, which I do think she was in. So even though you know, I think they do kind of show us more on the casty side of like how it's being portrayed. I do think that that is something that could be used in the wheelhouse for desperate times. It's kind of like a Hail Mary, kind of like let me just do one last little like try to potentially get someone to not vote for me.
There's a difference between intimidation and pissing someone off. And I feel like, no, like
Yeah.
obviously we've seen, Survivor contestants use like, oh, the threat of like, final tribal and all of that before. But
Yeah. Well,
if it
we're
can,
also in a situation where Cassidy thinks she was playing a really good game at this point. Like she thought she was in control, so she just didn't believe anything that Carla's also saying. So she didn't have that like moment of just like, oh, okay, I think I get what you're saying here. She thought you're stupid. I've been playing this great game so far. So it became a little harder for her, but it took her till final trial, which I think realized like a little more of what was really being said by Carla than what their conversation was.
yeah. I mean, that's always the case, you
Yeah,
know. Even though we have 3 hours of Survivor, it's really only 2.5, and plus there's a lot more show they had to go forward with.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. But to fast right back forward to that final tribal, yeah, I just came out of that. I was like, I was looking to the guy next to me. I'm like, I feel like we're not gonna have a zero vote finalist. I felt like each one kind of, I feel one of them can garner at least one vote from each, at least one vote. Clearly, I was wrong.
yeah.
Owen, ending up with none. I'm like, oh, come on. And then I guess, like, if you look at it, I think you put it best on why Gabler won. I think it's like something I have to watch again, knowing to like fully, I don't want to say appreciate,
Uh,
but like fully see the picture.
yeah, yeah. It's I think this was definitely a one at tribal council. I think the fact that Gabler was able to just pitch himself way better than Cassidy was able to, and Owen, he tried his best, but I did get the feeling from watching it that they didn't think he was going to get any votes. Like to me, it seemed like they were just like throwing Owen to the side and they were focusing more on Gabler and Cassidy. And like maybe something will kind of like be like, okay, Owen, what do you think of this? But it wasn't ever like, Owen, please tell me like how is this like how you managed to do this or whatever. Like there was never that kind of big moment for him. Um,
Yeah.
and also, this was, even though the season had some great challenges and immunities, I wouldn't really consider this jury to be a big like immunity, like people who care about people winning immunities. Like
No.
that is one of the things that I think does impact Cassie and Owen here is sure they win three immunities, they had all these immunities here, but I just don't think there's a lot of people on the jury who were wanting to respect that as like that's something that I'm voting that for that person because that person won immunities.
Well, I feel like on that regard, with Owen always being on the autumn, sometimes he needed that. I know for a fact Cassidy needed that
Yeah.
especially at 6, because everyone was like, yeah, we'll just get Cassidy. Then Cassidy, you can't vote for Cassidy. Well, we have to change our plan.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, sometimes winning a challenge at the right time, granted, it was unbeknownst to her, I guess, but
Hmm.
like, winning a challenge at the right time is a good move. Like winning when you have to.
Uh,
Um, I think one of the best examples of this not doesn't come from Survivor, but Big Brother 23, Xavier, who won the game, who would throw challenges, stuff like that. It's much different out here on Survivor because, like, if you're a comp beast and stuff, you can get immunity and stuff. But then when you lose it, it's a, well, we might have to go after you. And even
mm,
then, Cassidy and Owen didn't consider themselves like, comp beasts or anything going into this. They
yeah.
just turned up winning a lot of immunity challenges.
Yeah, yeah. I think if Owen maybe wins that final immunity, maybe he goes in with a little more like, I won out here, I deserve it, like in that regard. But because it's kind of like they were trading off immunities pretty like back and forth,
Frequently.
it almost felt like I think they both just kind of went in there not really wanting to play up that too much. They were just like, yeah, we both did it, so let's not talk about that too much because it feels like you're talking up someone else as well with it. So I
That's
feel
fair.
like they wanted to be a little more under on it and try to like showcase more of their social games, which ends up they're fighting now in Gaylor's ballpark, like in his wheelhouse of what his game was, which yet again we have been constantly coming back to how Gaylor is able to win this game. And it's so bizarre because it's there. It's clear like how he managed to win. It's just I can't believe we are living in this reality.
There are like two things this year that shattered my sense of reality and made me uncertain of a lot of things. This was number I'm still going back and forth which one is more earth-shattering, but this one is up for debate being like the most craziest thing that I have witnessed this year that makes me not trust anything.
Yeah. What was the other thing, if I may ask?
Girl trouble.
Okay.
Um,
Well. Okay. Ryan's sense of reality gets ruined there by girl trouble. Let's move
we're
on
gonna get
here.
off of that
Yeah.
for a sec because we're focused. This is not Ryan venting about his love life podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is this is
Tell me about what you're looking for in a partner.
anywho. So when we're so, like I was just like stunned when this happened and stuff. And I'm like, I think because I was, as I stated earlier, looking through the lens where I wasn't really thinking much about Gabler. I felt like we all went in thinking he was going to be, a floater, that he was going to be, the third place zero vote finalist and stuff like that. But, with who was left and stuff, he was able to like showcase and shine a bit more than the other two. And it's bizarre. I think it's one of the things where if you look at it on paper, it makes a lot more sense. But if you watch the show, there have been several times I've been perplexed watching this season.
uh,
And like, he even said during it was like they were asking what was your like worst move they made or the biggest mistake. He was like, yeah, episode 1, I was thinking of playing my shot in the dark to lose my vote.
oh.
That was like perplexing moment number 1.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how we learned about Gabler basically was that first episode where
he
he's
was not edited well in his first episode, and so
yeah.
obviously we're going to base all our stuff off of that.
Yeah,
You know,
which I do remember saying that they have been editing him to not look like a fool for a lot of the stretch of the episode, even though they had, I guarantee you, multiple times to make him have the dodo music and doing something stupid. They actually would then cut to him saying, "Actually, guys, I'm not this crazy. I'm
Yeah,
actually way smarter than I'm letting on. And it's
but
like,
it's
and
it.
it's us going like, well, he's just saying that. That's not really the case. But Survivor's is using the footage of like, well, we got to make them think that he's not this dumb.
It's
uh,
one of those things where it's like it was a good misdirection in the beginning because like not saying we've had because Chris Darty,
uh,
obviously way back in nine, he messed up his first challenge and like, he was able to recover
yeah,
and all that. Now, if you were just looking on the first episode, it's like, oh, well, they're not going to make the winner look bad and stuff like that. Like, I think it was kind of different. Plus, uh, we had a lot of like great players here where like with big personalities where it was kind of like Cody was a big misdirection, Jesse was a big misdirection, you know um Ellie in a sense was a misdirection,
yeah.
and then
Oh
we
my
have
gosh,
Carla.
Ellie. Oh, I want to see Ellie's face when she found out that Gabler won.
She wasn't at the event, or at least I didn't see her there.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Janine, obviously I wasn't going to be like, oh, where's Ellie.
Where's Ellie? That's the one I'm looking for, but
No, I mean, no, I
yeah.
wanted to see,
Yeah, yeah.
Janine.
Of course.
But like, it was like, if you told me in the beginning, like, we saw the prediction videos, and when they thought that Gabler was going to win, we thought they were like, all right, they're messing around, or like, we didn't see what they were seeing. And we
Yeah.
didn't also know if that was like for real or if it was a joke. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that pretty much sums that up. Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, we're in the world where Mike Gabler is a winner, and maybe he comes back again for rivals with Ellie, and
oh
maybe
God.
Mike Gabler wins again and becomes a two-time winner.
Let's not go that far. I don't know. There's one thing we also have to talk about with Gabler's win, and we touched upon it when we were talking about Jesse, was the fact that he is donating all of that money to charity for
Yeah.
veterans and stuff.
That
Um,
does soften the blow a little bit for me for Jesse not winning.
well, for those who don't know, both my parents are veterans, and I wouldn't say I have a soft spot for people that do stuff for like vets and whatnot, but I do have an appreciation for people that either have served at some capacity or is someone that does what they can for the veteran community.
Uh,
So like it was something where I'm like, yeah, because he's a surgeon. And it's not like he just got out of like, med school and stuff like that and it's like struggling paying off student loans. The man has been out for a while. And like he's not a rich man,
yeah.
but he's someone where he has a very, very good job.
Yeah, he's not worrying about where his next meal is coming from.
Yeah. And I feel like retroactively that moment where he won the first individual immunity, where he is talking about that thing, was coming from a very genuine place. It wasn't just jury management or anything. That was something that was like dear to his heart, that he was going moment to moment. And so, like, hearing that and all that, I'd say he's definitely a huge winner in the sense, like, probably one of the most selfless out of all of it because no
Of
one,
course.
because, like, clearly, if you're donating, I mean, after all the taxes and stuff, like,
Yeah, it's not
six
really $1 million. It's
six
like,
hundred, $700. Then again, he gets the tax write-off. I digress. I'm just like taking it for what it's worth. It is like, regardless, giving up six, or not giving up, giving six figures to a charity
yeah,
when I don't know what his salary is. He could be making six figures, but low six figures each year.
uh,
Um, but like, to give that much money to charity, it speaks volume to character. And like, yeah, maybe he came into this and like, was a goof in the beginning and we really didn't know how to make heads or tail of this guy in the beginning, and we just kind of wrote him off as just a terrible player.
Uh-huh.
But you can't say that but it's like, if you look at what he did in the sense of like what he wanted to do, you know, it's something where it really, he goes up a bunch for me when it comes to players, just on like that move alone, where he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm donating it all. Because it's like, that is like, not, many people talk about, oh, if I win the lottery, I would give it all to charity and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So it's easy to say that when you don't win, but he
But
did win.
but to
And like
actually
he was
do
like
it.
sticking to his guns and everything. So it's like you have to give mad respect to that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I am glad that that at least that happens. Just because I was still just so bummed about having to be in what I was considering the doomsday final three. Like this is the like, oh my gosh, why is it that these three are the final three? So him doing that was a little bit like, okay, I think it's worth it because I have a stepdad who also served, so I was really happy to kind of be able to be like, hey, cool, I'm always glad to see it when veterans kind of can get a little something here. So so yeah, I'm glad, but it's just Gabler, isn't
I
it?
know, I know. And I feel like you said, it's something where if you look at it on paper, and then also the fact that he gave it all to charity, it's something where I feel better about it. I was also in the moment. It was funny. I was talking to Dwight about the episode a little bit. And like, he was like, he was like, it's the only instance where he was happy he was pre-jury because he can't say that he did that.
Oh,
Uh,
that's hilarious.
but like, because on paper, if you really dig deep and look at it, it makes sense. And I feel like we're talking about this and it's more so like rationalizing everything because, it is something where I think so many people did not see it coming. And I feel like Survivor, when it comes to the winner, I feel for us especially, because it's not just the gameplay and stuff. It's also like a who done it. It's like guessing who wins, or like like who on your draft list for us specifically is going to win and stuff. And it's
Mm,
like a who done it and where are the clues and stuff like that. And sometimes the most outlandish thing in the beginning, I need to rewatch this season to truly understand. It's kind of like with, I'm only using Danny Boatwright. All my feelings towards that went aside. It's like, it's kind of like the thing where I'm like, I have to rewatch again to see if it will make sense to me. And
yeah,
I feel like it does make sense on paper. And I will say this for even Danny Boatwright. On paper, it makes sense. However, I need to rewatch this season with Gabler,
yeah,
443.
yeah. You
I mean,
gotta
this
watch out
one,
for the alligator. He's
alligator.
hiding in plain
Everyone was
sight.
laughing and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, if you can get to the final three and just make the whole jury laugh, they're honestly, I think they're going to be more likely to vote for you too. Like if they're just having a good time from everything you're saying, you're probably getting their votes.
Exactly. Um, I feel like talking is one of my best strong suits, besides stuttering, obviously. Uh, but like, I know how to win people over and stuff. I feel like if I get to Final Tribal, no matter what gameplay I have, I can definitely turn things into my favor that way. And yeah, humble brag aside. But, when it comes to, that final tribal council, everyone agrees that it is very important. Obviously, Cody, I believe it was Cody that said this. Game's not over yet. You still have to win everyone, and not I don't want to say, oh, convince them to vote for you, but cement the win, which is important because we've seen times where through tribal council, they might switch their vote because, like, they didn't cement the win for them in that final tribal council. They didn't plead their case well enough or as well as the other person that they switched their vote to.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think this was a season that was won and lost at tribal council here for these final three here. I think Owen had in my opinion, a tough chance coming in here. I think the jury just wasn't respecting him because he was on the out so often. He was kind of just he only voted correctly, I think, like two or three times in the jury phase, which is hard to kind of be able to say that that was a good gameplay there. And then Cassidy, I really think Ryan does become her downfall for the whole thing. He's the one to propose the question that basically let everyone know that she wasn't in as much control as she had thought. So
True.
it takes out two options. You're left with the one hiding in plain
Gabler.
sight.
And I feel like this is kind of like my biggest takeaway. And obviously, like, I just woke up. Basically, when
Yeah.
I came home, it was like 1 a.m. or something. Because I had to do this. I have to help a friend with the self-tape, and then I have work. So like I was like, I met a lot of great people. We're just dancing at this point, which was kind of fun.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm just gonna dip. I walked back home uh safely. Uh and then I was like, that was a lot of fun. What point was I going with this? But no, like in the sense of like how this season, my overall thought of it was. And I
Uh-huh.
feel this season was probably the most unpredictable season because there were so many things that was like, wait, what? There was a lot of shocking moments that happened through it. There was a lot of shock value. To quote
Uh-huh.
from Big Brother, expect the unexpected. We didn't expect, a lot of people didn't expect or expected seriously Gabler to win. A lot of people didn't think, when Cody grabbed that Beware advantage right before tribal council and everything, one, we didn't think he would open it. Two, we didn't
Yeah.
think he would pull it off. And then, all these unexpected things that happen with the, drowning challenge and everything.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, there was just so much going on that was like surprising to us. The fact that they put back the knowledge is power thing because they were like hell bent. One of my favorite memes of this season is Jeff Probst with the serious pointing and stuff, and they edited a
Uh-huh.
Glock on him, and he's like, so, "It's really true. You're gonna play this thing right.
Yeah.
This
Uh,
knowledge is power. They keep
I
trying to have it work, and one day it will."
I love
44.
Jeff Probst even made a joke about the knowledge is power at the in the reunion, just like the dang knowledge is power.
I mean, I think obviously, at 41, they played around with like, oh, that is a thing, and obviously that was a big move for Xander. um, you know, Deceiving. It was like, well, you can have this fake idol. Uh, it's not the first time that they shift idols around to like, you know, bamboozle, to quote Richard Hatch, the knowledge is power, player. But, to this level where everyone was aware of it, the two, they were switching around things, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna have this here, that there, so James doesn't steal it from me. um like that was kind of surprising, and it was kind of like a different level of gameplay where it was like, it I feel this one was very surprising. There was a lot of things where it was unexpected. So I think that's my biggest takeaway. This was a very surprising season.
uh,
I don't know where it's going to rank on my list. Um, but I really enjoyed this one. And because I went to the finale party, this one is always going to have a special place in my heart,
Uh,
no matter what.
yeah. Okay, try to say at least then modern seasons 41, 42, and 43. Where would you rank them and why?
All right, so I'll go bottom up. 41 is going to be on the bottom.
Mhm.
Not that I didn't like the cast or anything. I think it's a very solid cast. I feel like what muddied it up was it was still trying to make it was like really trying to figure out what new school Survivor
Yeah.
was going to be, and then they did a bit too much.
It
And then
was
the
too many
hourglass,
cooks, too many cooks in the kitchen for
yeah,
41.
then the hourglass twist. That was our first introduction to that, and it really was something where it's a controversial thing, no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like the gameplay I wouldn't say there was good gameplay in that, but I'd say it wasn't out of the three there the strongest, or at least like, yeah, I would say it's not the strong. It's still there was a lot of still good gameplay, but I feel like the other two seasons had obviously with the next one, I would rank 43, which had, really great players, really great like moments, and obviously Jesse having one of the biggest moves out there. And there was a lot of like good, moments, surprising, and all of that. And then I would rank 42 because I feel it fired well on all cylinders. You
Yeah.
had a fantastic cast. You had, you had really great travel councils. You had so many different advantages going around, but it was more balanced. And then it was like, oh, okay, we're gonna, yes, take out the big players where we did, but we had a very satisfying winner to it, a really great underdog. Um, a unique winner too, because there hasn't been anyone like Marianne
Yeah.
on this uh, in Survivor history, and like that was like one of the big question marks going into it, and then for her to win, um, was fantastic. You had so many great moments in that season when we had Jonathor, just lifting a boulder by himself, basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
his pre-merge entertainment was great just because of every episode. It was like, well, what kind of crazy thing is he doing in this challenge? Because that was what he was doing. He was carrying boats. He was literally dragging his team to the end. Yeah,
he
I
he
would.
was he helped contribute to a team where the other teams couldn't get that wave part of the challenge done because the waves were too intense. But
Yeah,
Jonathan's like, nah, fam, we are getting past that.
yeah,
So 42, I think, is my favorite overall
yeah.
of the
I
three schools.
I 100% agree with your list there. I think that is exactly how I was gonna list them. I wasn't sure if you were gonna put 43 above 42 here. I know that you last week I think were on the like 43 was better at that point. But it was a little bit like we still got to see who the winner is yet still.
Exactly.
So we were still kind of like we gotta wait. But yeah, I definitely think that that's the correct one here. I think if we did get a Jesse win, I would have put 43 above it. But because um, we do get the Al Gabler final three scenario paying off here. I feel like I still just gotta give 42 it because 42 just had a winner that made a lot of sense still, but was still a little bit like crazy that she could even do it. And it still had great players. Like I think Omer was um
Oh, definitely.
one of the top players. Like I want to see him and Jesse on the same tribe, in an All Star season.
That'd
I
be
think
fascinating
that would be so much fun.
because they are very different people, but they have fundamentally similar gameplay in a sense.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I agree. Also, we got to talk about Tori Meehan. She was someone where she was like she was a fun like
Oh,
little antagonist. I'm not going to spell him. She was an antagonist a little bit, but I remember her going to or like her and Jonathan talking. It was like, well, the reason why I might vote for you is because I want to win more of these challenges.
yeah,
Just hilarious.
yeah. She's a
No, there
yeah.
was a lot of cool things in 40.
Oh, are you you're frozen?
No. Joe,
Oh,
Mr. King,
Ryan, where are you? Are
I hear your
you
voice.
here?
There you are. Okay.
Okay, okay.
No. Uh yeah. Um I think 43 is still pretty cool. I mean, like, I feel like there's a lot of great cast potential, or I don't want to say potential because a lot of them have already proven their potential. I feel like they have a big pool of people to return from like these
Uh,
3 seasons alone. Hell,
yeah.
future Brand Steel idea.
Yep.
We could do,
41
our
versus 42 versus 43.
we could do that. We always looking for good ideas.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments did bring out a really cool one that I think opens up a little bit of opens up another possibility for us, but more of that later. But like it's like we're always looking for cool brand seal ideas, and I know we had a 41 versus 42. Maybe we could workshop it a little differently where it's not the top 9, but maybe we choose
Yeah.
3 from each season and then we duke it out that way. But it's like I feel like there were so many great people within the first 3. We still have one more season to go, obviously, for the first 2 years of the 40s.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I'd say so far I have really been enjoying this new era of Survivor, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm interested to see how 44 goes. We did see the preview for 44. And it
Yeah,
looks like we're getting a Korong kind of season. I don't know. I mean, they basically showcase two different medical situations that might be happening. So,
yeah,
which is unfortunate because one of the guys who they started off and he falls, like honestly, he was someone who I was thinking potentially like high up on my list, and now like seeing him potentially fall off a rock, I'm a little bit like, wait a second,
it's you never know. There's always
yeah.
this misdirection that could happen and stuff. My biggest takeaway from that was also they were showing a lot of suits of armor with dragons on them. I'm like, the editor really loved House of Dragons, didn't they? And then they just like, which I appreciate. I loved House of Dragons. I thought it was a fun, like spinoff for Game of Thrones. But like, I kept seeing that. I don't think anyone like obviously the guy who had the final say in the trailer, he seemed like a lot of fun.
You know what? He's my first pick. If Gabler won this season, that guy's winning the 44.
I don't know. I still need to see more of it. I need to watch the trailer again a few times. I definitely have to pay attention to that to the footage of that one medical thing because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get Jackson Fox again.
Yeah, yeah. I think I saw kind of who I think it might be. I don't know the name, so I don't have it off the
Yeah,
top of
I
my
mean,
head
like
here.
we
But
we know it's gonna be. It looks like the Purple Tribe. Whomever's gonna be the Purple Tribe, it's someone from their
yeah,
team, and then process elimination, we can figure that out.
yeah.
But
I mean, I got a look of the person, and it was someone who was of African American descent.
yeah,
So
so
there's
we'll
a
cross that bridge in
yeah,
February when we're doing our draft.
yeah.
But I think they said, in there was like, oh, this is going to be one of our most dramatic seasons, one of our most emotional, and I mean, they're really pitching it like it's going to be a really epic season.
Yeah.
I'm obviously excited for it.
Yeah, well, I know so before 43 aired, uh the production like rumors that had been kind of circulating was that they liked 44 significantly better than 43. Like that's the rumor that has been kind of spread. So take that for what you will. It may mean something, it may mean nothing. Uh
Yeah, I
we don't
mean,
know.
we thought
uh,
Tom Cruise was going to be Iron Man this year, but didn't
yeah,
happen.
yeah. So also, no one in any of these rumors thought Gabler was was gonna win. So who knows?
No.
It's I it feels like they might be just doing a lot more throwing us offset. So for all we know, 44 is a terrible season, but they're just not letting us know that until after the season's done.
Yeah. Yeah. All righty.
Okay. Let me do confessionals. Let me do our final confessional count here of the season. Pull it up here. Okay. Who do you think has the most confessionals?
I think now it is Gabler. I think Cassidy pulled ahead because she got a lot of love this episode.
Yeah, I'm talking
And
like
then
overall. So out of the entire cast.
I think Gabler has the most, then Cassidy, then I will say Cody, then
Okay,
Owen. I'm
but
probably wrong.
you're super wrong. I'm surprised you haven't said this person, but the number
Carla.
one person is still wrong. It's Jesse with
God
60
damn.
confessionals.
Ryan is bad at
You
guessing
said
things.
everyone else pretty much in the merge section except
I am a bad guesser. I need data in order to make a guess.
yeah. And then Carla was second with 56. Then Cody was, oh, I mean, sorry, Owen was third with 55. Then Cody with 52. Gabler was next with 46 confessionals, followed by Cassidy with 44. And then it keeps going down from there. But I'll just say that those ones because those were the main ones I'd say.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gabler only with 46 though at the end of the season.
Hmm. I think it makes sense in the sense where, like you said, he was never the one to like. A lot of times he was the swing in some regards, but like he was always, you know, he knew where to follow and stuff like that, and
Uh-huh.
everyone wanted to bring him to the end. So it kind of makes sense because the players that were making a lot of the big moves, like the big moves, kind of went out a little bit earlier, but they get a lot of confessionals because they are the ones who are making the strategies and stuff and talking about the potential outcomes of these things, or like they're talking us through it. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. One last thing wanted to bring up here. I mentioned before that the season had a bit of a gaboniness to it. And I made a joke like back on like episode 2 or 3 of this review, and I was just like, what if we end with a Gabler win similar to a Bob Crowley win of Gabon?
Apple and oranges when it comes to, just because they're older men
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they're the same person. They have completely different vibes. We have a
Yeah.
metalhead surgeon, and then we have Bill Nye
Yeah,
the Science Guy.
of course, of course. I'm not saying that they are the same person. I'm just saying, end the season out with having maybe a final three that is kind of like, how did these people get here? And then the older person who is just kind of like almost like by the jury's criteria the default winner ends up doing, except though with Mike Gabler is actually kind of better than Bob because he gets
I
more votes
disagree.
at the end.
I
He
dis.
he he barely Bob barely beats Susie.
No, I understand that, but like, I just he Gabler almost played a perfect game. Obviously, that is fact. I can't change that. It is fact. Gabler almost played a perfect game, but like, I still like Bob better. I just like
Yeah.
Bob.
Okay, you can like Bob better, but Gabler, I think, plays the better game on paper.
That's always up for debate.
What's up on paper? If you just look at it, Gabler. If James, imagine, James doesn't have his vote or votes for Gabler. I mean, that's perfect game right there. He's on the level of John Cochran. Um,
I under I understand. However, he didn't.
yeah, but it's like this close. Like you gotta just give it like he's not on the level of Cochran, but he's like just a
I,
little.
I, out of the people who have done that, achieved that, Gabler would have been, at the bottom of that thing of where I would place the perfect game winners. But,
Of course, of course.
it's like, I don't know, like obviously, and Zach and I, we talked about this a little bit because like he remembered our crazy ranking for winners and stuff. How I
Uh-huh.
put Bob. He specifically mentioned how I put Bob over Sarah, and I talked about
Oh,
like
Sandra.
oh Sandra, my bad. And I was like, and I even talked to him about that. It's like it's hard to put someone over another if it's like a vote against someone else where if someone gets votes because of someone else's jury management or not great jury management, it's harder for me to get behind that person as a winner. And I know I'm not alone there either. Like that's why most of our controversial winners, some of it comes from, there was a really great player that had, abysmal jury management. And then we ended up with that person. So it kind of like, obviously they become a controversial winner as a result. What leads to a controversial winner is like some people don't think they earned the win, and like clearly they earned the win because they were vote people voted for them, but you know a vote against someone else isn't as, it's more so like voting so no one else gets that, or it's a thing of like a bitter jury or something like that, and someone else wins because like they just didn't want the other person to win. While there is some merit to that win, it's not on the same level as someone where, oh, they played a really outstanding game and so we gotta vote for them.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of factors that definitely go into it. But yeah, I think we'll just leave it at that there.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited that we managed to get through another season of Survivor. This is what the
This is our
fifth
fifth one.
fifth one, so we've now covered 5 full seasons of Survivor.
And
Um,
we keep going strong.
yeah, and we're going to be right back with some more Brant Steels next week. So
We
we're
we already got some ideas going. We already have two different cast lists created.
mhm.
So I'm excited. One I pitched, I think y'all will enjoy. And then we got another one celebrating, the community of reality TV. So
Mhm.
I think we got a lot of cool stuff coming up ahead. And yeah, keep an eye out for the vlog. It's not going to be too super long because I'm in the moment when I'm doing stuff, but you'll see the short in this where Gabler wins and my
Uh,
reaction. You'll see me kind of like introducing stuff. You'll see pictures of me with cast from this, from 43, 42.
mhm.
Obviously, the hosts, Bryce and Wendell, and some Big Brother peeps who were there. So, like, yeah, look forward to that. so we got some content coming for you soon. So yeah, stay tuned. And the day after podcast, we're going into our, technically speaking, this would be fourth year, um,
Yeah.
calendar year. So we had 2019, 2020, 2021, 2020. This will be our fifth calendar year where
Oh
we have,
man.
I know, man.
That's crazy. It doesn't feel like it.
Well, I mean, because like timelines wise, it's only really been 3 years, but we're in the fourth year, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah. So like, we would have, so far this channel, come, next month, we'll have occupied 5 different years. Which
Yeah.
obviously that's crazy because like this is the longest I've ever really been on a YouTube channel. Granted, most of it was self-generated stuff that
Uh,
I've done before, but it's also something where we get to talk about Survivor. Um, Obviously, this is one of my favorite shows of all time, and so like to always have someone to talk to about it and go in depth is always a great thing.
yeah.
So I always have to thank Joe at the end of every season because he came to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And despite all my little antics,
Hey,
he
that
stuck
that
true.
that's what people come for. People are always saying in the comments how much they like you, Ryan. They're always
Oh,
rooting for you to win these. So
because they've seen me go through so much with these brand steals.
exactly. See, you've got the fan support. So that's what's great about having you on this podcast. You get everyone behind you. For me, I'm always like I feel like I'm just a better like heel. Like I'm better to have the
You're
fans
not
going
you're
against
not a
me.
heel, man. No, you bring, if I'm like you, we're both funny people, but I will say like you your knowledge of this game is so rich that like you bring so many great ideas and you so many theories and you have such a great understanding of this game as a whole that it brings a huge level. I quote you sometimes when I'm talking Survivor with other people because like damn, Joe really knows his stuff. And like because like when he shares that with me, it's like yeah, I'm behind this. I kind of believe what he says in this. And like I think things through a different lens, and you know a lot more facts about the show than I do. So like you are very much a big brain boy when it
Yeah,
comes to Survivor.
I'm a walking Survivor wiki.
Yeah. I mean,
I
people who are impressed with me with my Survivor knowledge, I'm like, I can hold a candle to Joe, but Joe is a chandelier.
Yeah. Well, hey, I still think I'm nothing compared to some people like that.
There's always going to be someone
Yeah,
more, but
yeah,
like at the
yeah.
same
I mean,
time,
I don't know if you ever saw the video where Rob Cesternino names every Survivor player who has ever played the game.
ooh, that's tricky.
Yeah, he
Uh,
goes in order from season one to the modern season and manages to name every single person. And it's like, how? And he even knows like last names of people too. It's
that's
like,
tricky. I will in my That's tricky because I'll usually just say their first name and what season they're in.
yeah,
Um, so like no,
yeah.
that is very
Yeah,
impressive.
he didn't say last names for everyone. He was like, I'll say them if I know them. And he says most of them, but there are some people he's just like, it's this person.
Uh,
And yeah,
I mean, I'm still trying to remember all the new Pokemon names.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I forget people's last names of seasons I'm watching. Like,
I forget people's names in general. Occupational hazard from ever working at a Starbucks. Because you're learning people's name and automatically forgetting them, and then that builds a stupid habit in your brain. Anyway, uh,
okay, well, I think that's going to cover it here for this episode. I think we got a lot talked about here. I think we're ready to move forward and give you guys some more Brant Steals. I know that that's the content everyone enjoys.
yeah, yeah, and we'll get with that soon. Yeah, keep an eye out. We have a lot of content coming out soon.
Mhm.
Stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll
Yeah.
catch you guys next time.
Yeah, and watch our shorts. Some of these shorts that were coming out are pretty good. So
I like seeing
definitely
our cameos. They're like, oh yay. Uh,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. You see, we got some Survivor players on our channel. Come on,
we
watch those
do.
shorts.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Okay, adios.